these companies who, whether it's an all-in-one plugin, or this is the thing that sounds like the other more expensive thing, or this is the really expensive thing and therefore it's the high-end thing, it's totally fine for companies to have marketing. It's totally fine for companies to try to provide simple solutions for people that don't want to think too much, that just want to work quickly. But why we have these conversations is because presumably people tuning in want to think and want to go the extra step. And so to try to combat, we're doing these conversations for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons we talk about this kind of stuff is to combat the marketing that says, and not just the literal, here's an advertisement, it says you need this, but the way that people, if you're used to, everybody uses this microphone or uses this preamp or this compressor, maybe it is the best thing because of that. But also maybe it's way overpriced and you don't need it and there's better ways to do it. And so we talk so much about trying to not have shortcuts and really spend the time, because anybody who's watching this who wants to make records, if you are willing to put in the time, if you're not willing to put in the time, then there's no reason you should be watching us talk, because all we do is put in the time. We put in so much time that we take time out of putting in the time to talk about putting in the time. That's how much fucking time we put into this shit. Just for fun, just for funsies. We don't make any money doing this. We're just talking about it. But if you want to put in the time, you will get a lot out of it. Understanding why that all-in-one plugin you use sounds the way it does and the components it uses, and then you reconstructing them yourself will give you a huge amount of skills in all these other areas. Or when you hear like, okay, it's this compressor and this preamp, go do some research. What is that preamp? When was it designed? What about it do people like? Then get a chance to hear it. How does it sound different than another? Like, you got to put in all that time if you want to be making the best things. And presumably that's what we're all here to do, right?
Yeah. And on that note, just keeping in mind that we're doing this because we also have a pretty deep amount of connections and in the industry of people that make records that are homies. And when I talk to, say, a handful of producers, 6, 8, 10 producers, and they talk about the best mic, they're all using different microphones and they all have charting records. Yep. So the best is kind of irrelevant because it's what you do with it to a degree, but none of them are 1073s into CL1Bs anymore.
Yeah, and everybody's
You said talk shit. You said we're talking shit.
Yeah. And everybody's got their, when I had Matt Beckley on, the great vocal producer and good friend of mine, Matt Beckley, we did 2 episodes on vocal production. He and I have similar philosophies and very different setups. He gets amazing vocals and he has a certain sound. And what he said is, I like this because when I did the shootout, this is the one I liked the most. But it wasn't so-and-so used this and therefore I used it. It's, I tried a bunch of stuff and I like this one the most. And I tried this other one. He tried the undertone stuff that I love. He was like, I couldn't get the same sound as I could out of my Chandler. I just like my Chandler more. I was like, awesome. Like, it's not like one's great and one sucks. It's that his worked for him and by the way, if you get an old 1073 and you love that and that's the sound, or you get a new one and that beats all the rest of them to you, great. I bet it won't. Great. I bet it won't, but maybe it will. Does, that's totally fine. It's taking the time to really listen. And by the way, once you get up into, I've been talking about monitors in the DMs with some people. Once you get up into a certain price range, it's really easy to borrow stuff, demo stuff, try stuff. All these, if you're going to spend a few $1,000s on anything in music, somebody's going to let you borrow it for a week. Maybe you got to sign something. Maybe you got to give them deposit. Maybe you got to get whatever. But like, you can borrow a lot of things and listen to them. But it takes time. It takes time. It takes some phone calls.
When you custom order a chair or a sofa, you get a swatch for the fabric.
Yeah. But this is even better. This is a sofa that you get to sit on for a week and then decide if it's comfy.
Exactly. It's even better.
So, take the time to do that. Borrow things from your friends. Ask your friends, can I borrow your thing for a week? Like, do that shit.